A three-day bus tour promoting President Donald Trump's campaign is going to be touring northeast Wisconsin this morning. I'm NBC 26 Today's McLeod Hageman live in Green Bay at that first stop with everything you need to know.
The future of UWO Fox Cities continues to be discussed. I'm Noah Cornelius reporting in Menasha, where I attended a recent board meeting to discuss the campus's future.
Plus, dozens of people at a Wautoma engineering facility will soon be out of a job. The latest on what we know so far.
Good morning, everyone. I'm forecaster Avi Cargloth. We're taking a look at a Green Bay tower cam now. Maybe a little bit of light over here, but for the most part, still have a ways to go before the sun comes up. We're getting more activity on the roads as we're waking up. Just past 6 o'clock in the morning. Our temperatures right now all over the place. We have some 60s along the lakeshore. We have some mid-40s up by the Northwoods. For the most part, though, we're sitting in the low 50s as we begin this morning. Expecting that to climb up with the sun coming out, but just a little bit. As you can see, expecting mostly cloudy skies today. Temperatures expecting to be very similar to yesterday with highs in the mid to upper 60s. But for the most part, a lot more clouds than sunshine.
It's the second day of President Donald Trump's team touring Wisconsin in hopes of persuading more voters to turn out come November. Good morning and thank you so much for joining us. I'm NBC 26 Today's McLeod Hageman, live in Green Bay along West Mason Street, where Trump's team is going to be stopping later on this morning around 10 o'clock. Everything you need to know in just a moment, but first, let's go ahead and take a look at top stories making headlines from neighborhoods across northeast Wisconsin. New from overnight, one person was taken to a hospital after escaping a second-floor window during a fire at a Fond du Lac duplex. Firefighters say they were called after 11 o'clock last night to the 200 block of Packer Street. Crews brought the fire under control within 45 minutes, but the duplex suffered heavy fire, smoke, and water damage. Firefighters say a nearby garage and vehicle were also damaged. Investigators are now working to determine how and where that fire started.
Community leaders are urging for more input from the public to determine the future of the UWO Fox Cities campus. I'm Noah Cornelius reporting in Menasha on the campus, where the future is still very much in question.
We should be proud to have it here and fight for it to remain.
The UWO Fox Cities Board of Trustees held yet another meeting to discuss UW Oshkosh's decision to stop in-person learning at their satellite campus next June, with continued frustration on what to do.
We have a public that wants answers here. We had 3 cameras staring us in the face on the last 2 meetings, 4 here today. So, people want to know.
The parent university system made the announcement back in June this year after they say total enrollment at the Fox Cities campus had declined nearly 67% over the last decade. Nevertheless, this did not ease frustrations from community members concerned with the timing of the decision and the uncertain future of vital institutions on campus, like the Weiss Earth Science Museum, Barlow Planetarium, and the University Children's Center.
Our children are the most important things in our lives. When we don't know what will happen to them or us, it creates a ripple effect. How many people will have to make the tough choice to exit the workforce?
Even now, 3 months after, still no solid plan. But the board, county executives, and neighbors are working tirelessly to come up with ideas.
More involvement and engagement with the community. What do they want? What would they like to see changed? What would be the very best outcome with the closing of the campus?
The UWO Fox Cities Board of Trustees is hopeful that more community members will come out to their next board meeting. You can find more information by going to NBC26.com. In Menasha, Noah Cornelius, NBC 26.
43 people are losing their jobs at an engineering facility in Wautoma. That's according to a letter from the Mayville Engineering Company, which is based in Milwaukee. The company says it's closing its Wautoma building permanently. According to the letter, 42 of the 43 people will lose their jobs in November. The other job loss will be in January of next year.
The future of this century-old building could come down to a city council vote this week. I'm your Oshkosh neighborhood reporter Claire Peterson, speaking with council, the district, and residents about the future of the old Merrill School building. I think the neighborhood is going to miss it. Nikki Nestler lives across the street from the old Merrill building. It has been important in this neighborhood, especially with the 2 playgrounds. She says losing the school has pushed her to move to a different part of Oshkosh. It's just too much of a change. The Oshkosh Area School District plans to use the space as an athletic facility for Vel Phillips Middle School students.
So from a school standpoint, we know that the green space and being able to provide co-curricular opportunities for kids is really important.
The City Council must approve a zone change between New York and Custer Avenue for the project to continue. They voted not to approve the change 4-3 on September 10th because council wanted to see a different use for the building. But a council member brought the issue back for a revote this week.
There's just so many reasons not to do this.
City Council member Paul Esslinger is against the project as a whole. He wants to see the building converted into housing instead.
We've had developers that have shown interest in taking that building over.
It will cost about $900,000 to demolish the building, with the money coming from a $107 million referendum accepted by voters in 2020. In the spring of 2025, the district will be asking voters to approve another $195 million referendum that will be used for further facilities updates. In Oshkosh, Claire Peterson, NBC 26.
We need to do a better job of sharing some of the great things that we do here.
I'm your Manitowoc neighborhood reporter, Preston Stober, and I sat down with Lee Tennis, who at least for now is taking over Manitowoc School's top job in a time of significant change for the district. After Jim File resigned in August, Tennis, a former Manitowoc Lincoln principal, was promoted to interim superintendent.
We're not going to use the term lame duck interim because there's so much that needs to be done.
The first priority in some of the community's mind, the aging facilities need. An audit done last school year found nearly $160 million in repairs at the district's locations.
We have to think about where we're investing those dollars because we don't want to make investments into buildings that are going to end up potentially not being around.
A consolidation proposal was voted down in July. Tennis now says they'll put out a public survey to help guide the next steps.
What do we do with what the community's telling us, with what we know our needs are, and then putting together really some options that we can have our school board be educated about.
Tennis acknowledged friction between the district and the community at times in the recent past. He says the fix is transparency with the board and the public.
Some of the challenges that we have won't go away, like our aging facilities and some of the work we need to do, but by involving our stakeholders a little bit more, we can be on a path to better climate and culture as well.
There is no word yet on the search for the official superintendent. For now, Tennis will serve in his interim role until June of 2025. In Manitowoc, Preston Stober, NBC 26.
President Joe Biden is set to deliver one of the final and most consequential speeches of his presidency today at the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. White House officials familiar with the speech tell NBC News that the president will focus on the climate crisis, Ukraine, and a call for an immediate ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. This as tensions in the Middle East spill over into Lebanon, where nearly 500 people are dead as a result of Israeli missile strikes aimed at Hezbollah targets. NBC's Bree Jackson reports from Washington.
Israel dramatically expanding its assaults on Lebanon Monday, with airstrikes that killed hundreds and wounded over 1,000 more. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sending this message to the Lebanese people.
Israel's war is not with you. It's with Hezbollah. For too long, Hezbollah has been using you as human shields. The IDF has warned you to get out of harm's way. I urge you, take this warning seriously.
The escalation is heightening tensions in the region. Iran's new vice president accuses Israel of attempting to draw them into a wider war, something he says he does not want.
We want to move in a more peaceful, more stable world. We don't seek war, but we will defend ourselves.
U.S. defense officials say Israel has not been sharing details about its military movements and fear hopes for a ceasefire in Gaza are dwindling. President Biden is expected to push for a diplomatic resolution when he addresses the UN General Assembly today.
My team is in constant contact with their counterparts, and we're working to de-escalate in a way that allows people to return to their homes safely.
The Defense Department plans to send a few dozen American troops to the Middle East in the coming days to help Americans flee the region. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
This Saturday, former President Trump will be visiting southwest Wisconsin to deliver remarks about immigration and the southern border. The Trump-Vance campaign says Trump will be in Prairie du Chien at 11:30 in the morning at the Prairie du Chien Area Arts Center. Doors open at 8:30 in the morning. The Trump team will be stopping here in Green Bay around 10 o'clock this morning and then moving on to Appleton after. I'm NBC 26 today's McLeod Hageman live in Green Bay along West Mason Street, where the Trump team is going to be stopping later on for this morning. Now, the Trump team started the week in Hudson yesterday and will end their tour tomorrow with a town hall meeting in Waukesha. Each stop will include local Republicans speaking on behalf of President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance. The Harris campaign responded to the three-day tour by saying, quote, Wisconsinites don't need a special tour to learn about Trump's Extreme Project 2025 agenda. We already know he plans to ban abortion nationwide, restrict access to IVF and birth control, and raise costs on middle-class families by nearly $4,000 per year. Again, this is the second day of President Trump's campaign touring Northeast Wisconsin for this week. To learn more about locations and how to get involved, you can visit our website. That's NBC26.com. Reporting live from Green Bay, McLeod Hageman, NBC 26. Later this morning, Wisconsin Secretary of State Sarah Godlewski will be visiting Appleton. She'll be speaking with other local leaders and child care advocates to tout Vice President Harris's financial policies for families. Godlewski will be touring a local child care center as well. Her visit begins at 11:30 this morning.
Our temperatures today expected to be pretty similar to yesterday in the mid to upper 60s. More clouds expected than what we got yesterday. Right now, our temperatures in Fond du Lac County still have a ways to go before we get there. Our neighborhoods around here still in the low 50s for the most part, and that will take a while to warm up, but that has been the case for throughout this week so far. Not only are we going to be warming up tomorrow, but also into the weekend. We are also tracking a potential tropical cyclone that is expected to move through the Gulf of Mexico and further south. It's not going to be here, but it could affect Northeast Wisconsin's weather this weekend. I'll tell you how coming up with your 7-day forecast.
Millions of dollars in federal funding coming to Bay Beach Amusement Park. I'm your Green Bay neighborhood reporter Andrew Amuzu with details on how it's enhancing recreation and the environment.